I've spoken to Joe about fighting Shakur Stevenson. Joe's up for it, but he also understands the challenge. Ideally, moving up a weight division, you'd probably want an easier fight than Shakur Stevenson, but Joe is at the age where he wants to be involved in the biggest fights in the sport, and if he feels like the opportunity's right, I'm sure he would take it, but nothing close yet.
Reports allegedly claim that Shakur Stevenson will face another potential opponent, Joe Cordina, instead of William Zepeda. Promoter Eddie Hearn revealed that he's had talks with Joe Cordina about him moving up to 135 to challenge Shakur Stevenson for his WBC lightweight title. Hearn says it's just in the discussions stage. The 27-year-old southpaw, Shakur Stevenson, won the vacant title via a decision victory over Edwin de los Santos in November and made a successful first defense against the 12-1 Artem Harutyunyan last month. His win over Artem was met with jeers, and some fans even left before the final round. Similarly, his defensive approach in the fight against Edwin de los Santos drew boos from the crowd. Stevenson faced loud boos from fans during both of those fights, but the most painful moment came when his supporters began leaving the Prudential Center starting in the 8th round of his bout against Harutyunyan. On the other hand, Joe Cordina is eager to meet a fresh challenge in the lightweight class, where he hopes to land a world title fight. Thinking back on his recent loss to Anthony Kakas, the Welshman notes the need of starting over at 135 pounds, where the competition is intense. Knowing the great power of his opponent, Cordina entered the ring 3 months ago against Anthony Kakas from Northern Ireland. Cordina lost his title in the 8th round after giving his brave efforts. Cordina is resolved not to live in the past, even if the loss stings. Rather, the 32-year-old sees the future ahead, focused on the lightweight category, home to some of the most well-known stars in the sport, such as Shakur Stevenson, Denis Berinchyk, Gervonta Davis, and Vasily Lomachenko. He stated, "If there's a world title there and it can be made, then why not?" Cordina said. He underlined the need of facing top-level rivals who make him afraid, an emotion he thinks will highlight his greatest performance. "My fear of losing is massive. That fear of losing, of fighting another champion, that's what I want to feel. That's what would bring out the best in me. I'd happily jump in with the champions, Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, and Berinchyk. Give me 10 to 12 weeks, and I'd jump in with them." For Cordina, though, the road to a lightweight division world title might not be straightforward. Lomachenko is unlikely to fight once more until 2025. Stevenson is under talks for a possible fight with William Zepeda. Gervonta Davis's future plans are unknown, and Berinchyk is under close examination by other contenders. Cordina knows that as he waits for a world title, his path can include engaging in fewer contests. "If I have to go down the rigmarole, then it has to be that way," he said. Cordina is nonetheless sure he can set himself for a title shot sooner rather than later. He is certain, nevertheless, that any temporary conflicts have to be accompanied by reasonable pay. He further added, "If you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. But I don't want to be fighting all these top fighters and not getting paid well for it. It seems like everyone is getting paid. I'm a 2-time world champion. I want to be paid to jump into these fights as well. As long as I get paid, I'll fight anyone." Joe Cordina recently came up in an interview and mocked Shakur Stevenson about his call-out to Tank Davis. He said that he doesn't see anyone who can face Tank Davis, and then trolled Stevenson for having unnecessary confidence.
I'll be honest, I don't see anyone beating Tank in that way. I don't see anyone. Well, I'm at the weight now, so I might just throw a lucky dig and throw him a kick. But nah, listen, he's. I just think he got, since he beat the likes of Leo Santa Cruz, his confidence has just gone through the roof. Now he's talking like everyone else is now. Do you get me? He never used to talk like that, but he's giving it. Then he boxed Rolly, and he's giving him some. And yeah, I'm a massive fan of him. Do you get me? So.
Shakur Stevenson has called out Gervonta Davis many times. Shakur's excitement about fighting Tank Davis makes sense, given that Davis is one of the biggest stars in boxing right now. Stevenson feels that a match against Davis would be one of the most important and high-profile fights coming up. "I have the best seat in the house. We all know that me and Tank are going to have the biggest fight in years to come. Everybody and any promoter will want to be involved when that happens. I just sit back and chill and try not to think about it. I'll think about it when it happens." A fight with Tank Davis isn't just a match, it's a seismic event. Stevenson stated, "Every hood in America is going to want to watch that fight. Shakur Stevenson is definitely one of the top boxers right now, and a fight with Tank Davis would be very exciting." However, Stevenson has faced some criticism for not often knocking out his opponents. His recent fight against Artem Harutyunyan drew negative feedback because he couldn't finish him off, and some fans consider him boring due to his focus on avoiding punches. In fact, he was even booed in his own town last weekend. In contrast, Tank Davis is known for his thrilling and powerful fighting style. He impressed fans by knocking out his last opponent, Martin, which has made him very popular. While a potential matchup between Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis is still up in the air, let's focus on the upcoming fight between Stevenson and William Zepeda. Promoter Oscar De La Hoya confirmed today that he is eager to make this fight happen. He believes that a bout between Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda would be a huge event and stated that he won't stand in the way of making it a reality.
No, I don't think. Look, that fight, I don't think nobody will get in the way of that fight. Look, I'm Zepeda's promoter, and I actually want to make that fight.
De La Hoya states that he views Shakur, 27, as the best fighter on the planet skills-wise, but he just wishes he could sell tickets. He says Stevenson lacks a fan-friendly style of fighting. He stated, "I think Shakur, right now, skill-wise, is probably the best fighter on the planet today, but he has to be able to sell tickets. His boxing style is not that friendly to sell tickets, but I think that William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson is a huge fight." De La Hoya doesn't sound like he's chomping at the bit to hurry up and make the fight with Shakur and Zepeda. It's unclear what he's waiting for because it's the perfect time to make the fight. It will happen. Eddie Hearn is not in the way of making that fight. I think the only one that's in the way of making that fight is me, but I'll tell you one thing. I will make that fight, De La Hoya further said about Shakur versus Zepeda. Shakur Stevenson is set to defend his titles against knockout artist William Zepeda. This has also been confirmed by the Saudi Arabia advisor Turki Al-Sheikh when he came on air on 3rd August following the Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller fight, and said that he is adamant about making Shakur versus Zepeda.
If they accept, we want to see this fight, and I want to see Shakur Zepeda.
Shakur Stevenson is here as well.
He accept.
Turki Al-Sheikh has also given Shakur Stevenson the new nickname Outlaw, ahead of a potential fight against William Zepeda on a mega card headlined by Terence Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. "Just met with my brother, Shakur Stevenson. I have given him the nickname Shakur's Outlaw Stevenson. I'm waiting for someone to respond that I'm bad for boxing," he wrote on X. Lance Pugmire also reported that Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda had agreed to fight for the WBC lightweight title. Their match was expected to take place on October 12th in Riyadh and was set to be on the undercard of the big Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol fight. The WBC had instructed Stevenson to defend his lightweight title against Zepeda. Turki Al-Sheikh and Oscar De La Hoya just might be joining forces to deliver a stacked card featuring two of boxing's biggest names at the top of the bill. While ringside before Saturday's fight between Virgil Ortiz and Serhiy Boachuk, the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority and the head of Golden Boy Promotions discussed putting together anticipated fights for both Terence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson.
Yes, William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson on the same card. Let's do it. Let's go.
Clearly excited by the possibility, Stevenson answered Al-Sheikh and De La Hoya on social media with great vigor for making the fight happen with Zepeda, saying, "I love it. Big fights. Let's get active. Chasing greatness." He also expressed delight over the prospect of sharing the card with his close buddy and training partner, Terence Crawford. Later, Virgil Ortiz broke his perfect knockout streak and set himself up as a potential opponent for Terence Crawford by winning a questionable points decision. For the first time in his career, Virgil Ortiz Jr. went the distance in a fight and faced a tough challenge. Even though he was knocked down twice, the 26-year-old rising star managed to narrowly defeat the tough Serhiy Boachuk on Saturday night, earning the WBC interim super welterweight title. William Zepeda, one of the top contenders in the lightweight division, is in a unique spot as he is ranked number 1 by all 4 major boxing organizations. The WBC has already instructed Shakur Stevenson to defend his title against Zepeda, who is the mandatory challenger, since both WBA champion Gervonta Davis and IBF champion Vasyl Lomachenko are currently not showing interest in fighting Stevenson. A bout with the undefeated Zepeda, who is 31-0, looks like a great opportunity for Stevenson to earn a good payday. However, the speculation about Shakur versus Cordina started when William Zepeda pushed the fight date to February. Shakur Stevenson is running short of suitors. The American fighter wants to stay active and prove his credentials and show the world he has what it takes because of his highly regarded technical skills. He had an explosive boxer in William Zepeda as an option to bolster his resume and boost his PPV star image. Stevenson went on a rant when he admitted that his fight with Zepeda, 28, wasn't in the works anymore. He also admitted that he had approached Vasyl Lomachenko, but the IBF champion declined the shot at unification. Stevenson, at 22-0, revealed in one of the posts, Loma just recently said no again. He then stressed the fighter's agency to take the fights, cutting across the promotions, and continued, "Whatever gon' get me paid the most and make the most sense, I'm down." This came after Stevenson, 27, had turned to his social media handle and disclosed that Zepeda had pushed back the date. It was already clear that Oscar De La Hoya and Zepeda, at 31-0, had other options too, and it could be a stylistically tough fight for the latter. So, Golden Boy Promotions and Zepeda pushed the fight. But the fight was still on, and since he wanted to stay active in between, Stevenson picked up Joe Cordina. The lightweight champion wrote in one post, "Zepeda pushed it back, the fight will happen in February." In another separate post, he pointed out the past weight cut issues of Cordina, 32, but praised him as a fighter and again highlighted Zepeda's reluctance to take up the fight. Stevenson added, "Zepeda don't want to fight just yet, so whoever it is gone, be they gone, get this work." Boxing pros have already shared their thoughts on the potential matchup between William Zepeda and Shakur Stevenson. Boxing trainer Teddy Atlas points out that William Zepeda can't rely just on his usual aggressive style and bodywork when fighting someone as skilled and clever as Shakur Stevenson. Atlas suggests that Zepeda will need to use a more complex and unpredictable strategy to have a good chance against Stevenson.
Not the cold, naked, if you will, way that he's been doing it, where it's just been pressure, body work. Sounds great, looks great, I get it. But against a guy as clever and advanced and skillful as Shakur, ain't gonna get it done. He's got to be more sophisticated than that.
Teddy Atlas appreciates Zepeda's aggressive style and attitude, but has concerns about whether his usual approach will be effective against a skilled boxer like Shakur Stevenson. Atlas says, "My concern is the same as it was for Pacquiao Mayweather in a different way. Is this an oasis or is it a mirage? And it could very well. It's how can you not be excited? He comes forward, he's tough, he gets to you, he imposes his will and his physicality on you." Boxing commentator Jim Lampley asserts that Shakur Stevenson is prioritizing winning over entertaining, which results in less exciting fights but ensures his victories.
And how much am I going to stick to the mantra that my trainer has taught me, the approach that my intelligent understanding of boxing has given to me and taught to me, and accept the fact that maybe somewhere I'm going to hear boos in the background or disapproval from some fans or get ripped for it on the web when I leave the ring. Shakur Stevenson is choosing to win. And so far, in choosing to win, he's getting less entertaining.
Lampley further explains that fans are eager for more aggressive and thrilling performances. He highlights the tension between fighting strategically and entertaining the audience, noting that fans are generally less interested in a fighter who avoids risks to secure a win. He says, "Nobody wants to see Shakur Stevenson go in and play chess with a tabby cat. They want to see him fight." A potential clash with Joe Cordina might come as a blow to Stevenson's fans, who wanted him to exchange punches with an aggressive fighter. The 2016 Olympics medalist first chased a fight with Gervonta Davis and then made peace with Zepeda as an alternative. But with the Mexican fighter out of frame, he is again back to square one. But all is not lost. What do you make of this hypothetical fight between Shakur Stevenson and Joe Cordina? Do you believe William Zepeda should fight Stevenson? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.